G'day Hawkers, this episode of the Hawk Talk podcast is a little bit different in that it's an edition of Hawk Talkback. Now basically what that means is we went live on Twitter just a couple of hours after the final siren on Easter Monday, and this is a recording of that Twitter space. Now, great fun of course, as always with Hawk Talkback, wonderful to hear from some diehard Hawks fans. The audio quality isn't normally to the standard of what we put out, but, you know, we figured we'd get it online anyway, so you can ride the wave of what was a magnificent victory over the Cats. Also, watch this space. We might be back later in the week to record too. We'll see. Anyway, on with the show. This is Hawk Talkback. Enjoy.
High ball for De Koning, couldn't hang on. Johnston on the left. There we go.
Forward into the hands of McDonald. Hawks a chance for another opportunity here to the front of the square. Lewis, Bruce, Moore's got four.
Numbers here with the Hawks. Frost. Holodesny to defend. Bruce wobbles it forward. Lewis, all on his own, can walk in and seal the deal. He said at the start of the broadcast that this young Hawks group take a big scalp. They're going to the second stick down. Have a listen to this.
My voice is absolutely shot. Welcome, Hawk supporters, recording live from the Victoria Hotel lobby, because that's the quietest place in the CBD that I could find. So here I am. I'm going to get Tiz on board as well, my esteemed co-host. Tiz, have I got you? Can I hear you?
The Victoria Hotel lobby, mate.
The Victoria Hotel lobby. Yeah, it's pretty swanky. I mean, I thought I'd spend up big, mate. With a win like that, you got to celebrate it in style. So the Victoria Hotel lobby, it is.
What a day!
What a day! Before we get stuck into it, I want to welcome everyone to Hawk Talkback, the live Talkback edition of the Hawk Talk podcast. Now, if all things tech go smoothly, hopefully we're recording this, and we can chuck that up online for anyone who wants to catch up on it or has to bail out halfway through or even missed it. So stay tuned for that.
To hear their question answered again.
That's right. Yeah, we do invite people if you do want to contribute. It is Hawk Talkback after all. We do want to hear from you. So jump on, request to speak, and we'll let you on board. And we want to hear the burning questions, the pure emotion overflowing from today, frankly. I mean, what a day, as you said, Tiz. Talk me through it. What was your experience?
One of complete and blinding anger, which I'm glad Sicily... the boys didn't fall into. Tremendous to keep their heads as they did, and look, that I didn't expect them to come back and win, keep their heads. That game from Newcombe, there's no ceiling on that boy. He could be anything right now. He can set his sights on whatever he wants to be. It's amazing.
The development in such a short space of time has been frankly astonishing. To insert himself, stamp his authority, and establish himself in the best 22 in the manner that he has so emphatically. It's the way he conducts himself, the endeavour that he brings week to week, regardless of the end outcome. He digs in, and that's what we needed today. We needed that kind of endeavour.
Well, we won the contested possessions, and the contested possession differential in that final quarter was enormous. Like when the whips were cracking, Selwood and Dangerfield were nowhere to be seen, and that's when Newcombe and Mitchell stood up. Absolutely fabulous. I couldn't be prouder of what they've done, and the kicking accuracy. Everybody got involved. Even Warple came on, and having had a dressing down, which would have hurt him, he comes in, puts his head over the footy again, goes again, has one of the highest impacts for pressure points. You know, there's an ethos, there's a character to the side. You know?
Yeah, they played like a team that were really torn to shreds during the week. You know, we saw that footage of Connor Nash getting monstered by Monkey. It was a bring your mouth guards kind of training session. That's how it was reported. And I feel like they played like it in a lot of stretches. I mean, to come out and, you know, that punch on the scoreboard, that those punches they landed almost immediately really set the tone. It's like, okay, no, the Hawks have come to play today. We haven't seen this year, that kind of intense flurry to start the game. That's new. We haven't seen that this year.
And that was driven by the youngsters in that first quarter. A lot of the youngsters, that first passage of play was Reeves to Newcomb to Ward to McDonald to Lewis, wasn't it, I think? And then goal. I mean, that was just terrific. But at the start of that fourth quarter, when the younger kids were looking for some leadership, I thought Jager O'Meara, who hadn't had that much of it, really put his hand up and said, I'm going to impact this.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is this year, and with good reason, we've been critical of Hawthorn's midfield. The old hands, the guys that we insert there as a matter of the starting lineup. I think O'Meara played his role, but I really want to single out Tom Mitchell. That's his best game for the year, surely. And I thought he was enormously influential.
Oh, definitely. And each of them kicked a goal.
That's true. Yep. If you do want to jump on, we'd love to hear from you. Just request to speak. We'd love any questions you want to chuck our way. Just any sort of celebrations. We'll take those as well. Who did you like from today? Who surprised you? Who was your most underrated player from today's game? Who could use a spell even? I want to hear what people took away from this game in terms of what they'd do to the lineup next week. I'd be fascinated to hear that.
Geez, it was a roller coaster. We looked on top of them early, and then Ned Reeves goes down, and you thought, we don't have a fit ruck on the whole list now. That's it. Yeah. I was pretty inconsolable when that happened. I thought, well, that has far greater ramifications for the rest of the season. It's not to say I don't for 1 second believe that Hawthorn will be contenders or anything this year. But in terms of your prospects and how you shape up from game to game, from week to week, that's going to have huge ramifications. So I was down in the dumps. I had to explain it to my friend Jess. I'm like, yeah, this is not good. She's at about her fourth or fifth game of AFL. I'm like, so the thing about it is you need a ruckman, typically. It's kind of nice to have one. Unless you're Richmond. Then you're good. So let me just... Yes. I know you haven't looked at the stats. A little bit, yeah. Go on. Jai Newcomb with 31 touches, 19 kicks, 10 handballs, 7 marks, 3 tackles, 2 clearances, and a game high 650 metres. There you go. 84% time on ground. The kid's a freak, and I hope he keeps the 44. I honestly do. just keep that going. The phenom from Puong. I think we're onto something there. I mean, what a find. What a find. It's the pluck, the hunger, the desperation. And you knew you would need it on a day like today as well. With the forecast the way it was, you knew at some stages of the game it was going to be a scrap. And that requires a mid to get their hands dirty, get in, get the pill, and do what they can to haul us over the line. And it's not just this game. He epitomises that, Jai Newcomb. And your mate, Big Mitch Lewis, he didn't take a step backwards today, did he? No, another, well, I'm not going to say a bag of 3. He kicked 3 straight for Mitch. We call him main event Mitch. You're hearing it more and more. He bookended the game, mate. He kicked the first goal, he kicked the last goal. He had the last say, and he is a main event player, is Mitch Lewis. Out of nowhere, look, if anyone's read our season guide, this is every bit what I hoped for him. Every bit. I'm not going to... Hey, someone bought one after the game. I was like, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I think you'll at least you'll see the Mitch Lewis entry and go, these boys might know what they're talking about. Take that to the bank at least. Page 1. That's enough. There you go. Season guide available now. But Harry Morrison, I was spitting his name a couple of times. He made a couple of crappy errors, but he's turning out to be a real playmaker in the side, and he's got a license to sort of set up the attacks under Mitch. There were a couple of times where I just wanted them to be a little bit more cautious, but no, they kept attacking, and it works. The game plan actually works. Yeah, this is the thing. I had to explain to Jess at various points throughout the game. Hawthorn aren't necessarily mean to kick it straight to a Geelong player. It's the strategy, certainly, but it's not meant to go that way. They have an idea.
They have a plan. They're going to try and execute that plan, and it's under construction. It's not always going to come off perfectly. You are going to get those nervy moments that make you tear your hair out as a fan. But the fact is, you can see what they're trying to do, and when it actually comes off, it's brilliant to see.
Now I can see Aaron and Regan and Al and Lee and a few others who are usually pretty lippy on Twitter.
In the best way. We love hearing from them. Anyone at all. We'd love for you to jump on, share your thoughts, sling us any burning questions, anything to stump us. I welcome the challenge. I notice also that Peter, if you're able to talk at all, mate,
Oh, yeah.
Peter, M10, friend of mine, used every last ounce of passion today in the stands, in the trenches, as it were, because there was plenty to yell about. What did you make of those many free kicks that were quite dubious?
Well, look, without my SEN commentary, I'd have no idea what a lot of them were for. And when you look at the coverage for Gunston up the other end of the field, raising his arms and pointing at the screen, that is just one of the most ridiculous decisions I've ever had.
Oh, mate, don't wave your arms. Don't wave your arms. That's a cardinal sin in the modern game. You can't wave your arms. You can't be demonstrative in any way. We've got Peter on the line now. If you'd like to, you got your mic on, Peter. I would love to hear just how your voice sounds at this late stage of the day.
Well, it's not too bad, to be honest with you, but it's probably going to be a lot worse tomorrow. And I'm just really thrilled for the young guys in the team, because from memory, I haven't watched the game back or any of the highlights, but that last few minutes when you just thought, oh God, can we just get it in the hands of experienced players? It was continually falling into the hands of the young guys that have played 4, 5, 10, 15 games, and they would just keep pushing the ball forward relentlessly. And I know from where we stand, everything looks pretty kosher and we're undercover, but the conditions were not conducive to anyone handling the ball cleanly today. But when they were really under the pump at the end of the game, that the guys were just going, well, we don't want to save this, we want to win by more, and that's fantastic. I just can't speak highly enough of what was going on out there, because their bodies are pretty slim. There's not much protection there, but definitely, very proud of the guys that they fought the game out, and especially being 2 goals down at 3/4 time, it was probably the writing was on the wall that the more seasoned and elderly bodies of the Geelong players were going to just roll over the top of us. You only need to get a couple of lucky free kicks, and young guys can drop their heads, but there was none of that. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was a strange day in terms of just luck not necessarily being on our side. I'm going to ignore the umpires for 1 second. I just mean, drop marks, little fumbles in inopportune times. I thought gave Geelong a real sniff, and sort of after such a hot start, let them back into the contest. I thought it was really unfortunate. Dare I say that we actually looked a bit better than most people would think today. I think we played pretty well overall.
Yeah, it was interesting on. At lunchtime, I was listening to 3AW and Caroline Wilson, who I'm not going to say I'm her biggest admirer. However, I have a listen when I have to, and she said, "Listen, I'm really looking forward to today's match. I think it's going to be a great game." And she goes, "I think Hawthorn are heading in the right direction." I thought, "Gee, who's this? This is a change of events."
Pinch yourself, Peter.
Yeah, I was, and I just thought, did she really say that? Is she sort of lauding us and saying that we're not too bad here? But, I saw a little bit of those clips during the week, and obviously Sam really, worked the boys over and made them probably feel that listen, we shouldn't be performing like that. Yes, it's going to happen. We know it is. Yes, a commendable 2-3 goal loss, but to just get trounced the way we did, that was unrecognisable compared to the team that played today. So I was rapt that they came out and showed who they really are.
Yeah, it's a credit to the guys that are actually out in the field. Of course, it's a credit to the coaching staff too. You can't forget that they, by all accounts, got them up for this game. Really lit a fire under them. I want to bring Carlo onto the line now. He's requested to speak. We'd love to have you aboard, Carlo. Welcome to Hawk Talkback. I want to hear what you made of this game. If you switch your mic on.
Sorry about that, Nick. We dropped out from Newcastle, mate. We're still on dial-up up here. We're in the backwaters out in the rural areas of New South Wales.
Welcome, mate. You seem up and about. I want to get your take on today's game.
I refused to watch the game. The only thing I watched of today's game was the last 40 seconds after Mitch scored his sealer, because I know the impact that I have on the Hawks. And when I saw that we were doing well after the first quarter, I said, right, there is no way I'm turning this on, because I am guaranteed that Geelong will kick 12 unanswered goals and will lose this by 50. So I was doing the updates for our Facebook page. Hawthorn Football Club supporters page. Get on it if you
awesome page. Yeah, definitely hit that up on Facebook.
We've got a bit lazy lately, because I'm not going to lie to you. I joined on as an admin like nanoseconds after we started to be good, and it's been nothing but heartache and DMs of pain ever since. But so after the first quarter, I was doing the page updates, and I'm trying not to do that thing that I love to do where it's like, great start by the boys here. And, now we've just got to kick on, and we're going to take it to them. I'm like, no, don't get too far ahead. So I was slowly doing the updates, and I could just see Geelong coming back as they always do.
Of course.
But I've got to be honest with you, and this might be a little bit controversial because I did join in late, but I kind of feel like if Clarko's coaching us today, I'm not convinced we win, and that is absolutely sounds like Clarko slander. But I sort of felt like today at 3/4 time, I was like, well, this is Sammy's chance to do something different. Like this is his chance as coach to say, well, I'm going to put my footprint on this team now, and this is how we're going to approach the last quarter. So I always kind of had that more hope, because we've been dreadful in Easter Monday games. So it just felt like such great vindication for the team, for the boy, and Sammy looked great in his post-match presser as well. And it was a great way to finish the weekend, because I'll tell you, as a Newcastle-based man, and as you boys do know, I do like to spread myself around. I suffered a heartbreaking stoppage time loss against Melbourne Victory on Saturday night with the Jets in the A-League. The Knights absolutely did their bundle in Wollongong yesterday in the rugby league. So I said to the missile, I said, I can't do 3 days in a row. I cannot watch the Hawks ruin my 4-day weekend. So I didn't watch a minute of it. And I'll tell you what, I'm reluctant to watch any more games moving forward, because if that's what I need to do to help them perform the way they did today, all the more power to them.
This has turned into an A+ cameo, Carlo. You've done well for yourself. You've given us a bit of an around the grounds. Can I say, I'm actually on board that train with you. Kick your feet off the seat. Let me sit down. I'm on board the train of, I'm not sure Clarko's Hawks might have been capable of today. I think the reason we got this result was our insistence on rolling the dice. Like, no, we are going to play our way. Sometimes it's not going to come off. I think actually our grimmest points in the game were when we fell into the trap of playing on Geelong's terms. I think they wanted to exploit the fact that our ruckman wasn't coming back on. He's done for the day. Yeah. And it was actually my friend Jess, who I stood with, who said, they keep on kicking like he's still out there. And I said, that's actually a very astute observation. I think that's what's happening. When we didn't do that and we played more of the Mitchell era style gameplay, I think that's when we gave ourselves the best chance, and that's how we got the outcome we did.
Look, I've got my misso here as well, and I'd be reluctant. There are a fair few people listening here. Shout out to Connor Nash. We have been on the Nash train from the day we were at his debut again. I think it was Easter Monday, wasn't it? Yeah. We were at his debut, and the only reason I want to give him a special shout out is he is from the same little town over in Ireland that my misso is from, and every time he takes the field, he is representing that country, and he does it with distinction. Mm-hmm. And I think Sam Mitchell coaching him is going to be the best thing that happened to him in his professional athlete's career, because you can just tell that there's something about Nash that Sam has tapped into. And I've always, the reason I was, because just quickly, I'll let I know I've taken up the microphone for a little bit, but obviously I am excited. Mm-hmm. I always had a concern that Sammy was going to be the Nathan Buckley of the Hawks, where there was the clear coaching ability. Calm down. Let me get. Look, I'm about to do a Jeff Winger style speech from Community here, so let me get to the end. He always had you knew he had the talent and you knew he had the brain for it, but I've always maintained the best coaches are not the most talented ones. They are the ones that know how to get the best out of yourself without natural talent. And Mitch forged his career out of saying, I am going to be the best, despite the fact that my natural talent is not up at the level of some of the players that I'm going to be competing with. So he is a bloke that over the last 20 years has basically spent every working professional day in sport going, I know what it takes to get the best out of someone. And so I would hats off to Connor this year and today, and I'm really pleased for the boys because like I said, we'd lost 8 out of the last 10 Easter Monday. It's not really a rivalry anymore. It was, to a certain extent, it was sort of starting to turn into something of a procession for the Cats, and really, really pleased with the boys. So every time they lose again this year, everyone, you'll know that I was watching closely.
I'm going to throw to Tim in a sec, who's been wonderful enough to join us, and thanks for hanging on the line, Tim. Tiz, on the subject of Connor Nash, it'd be remiss of me. I mean, Carlo brought him up and brought up his development. A huge milestone for Connor Nash today, running down Joel Selwood. It was a thing of beauty.
Oh, yeah, that goes in the highlight package at the end of the career. It's a big moment. And isn't he quick?
He is. He's deceptively quick. He's a tall, athletic Irishman as Connor Nash. Tim, you're on the line. You've been good enough to stick with us. We want to hear from you. Any questions, any thoughts you have? Go for it.
Evening, guys. I was lucky enough to jag a couple of Medallion Club seats through my work for me and the kids, so I was seeing the whole thing with my hands over my eyes for half of it. But in terms of your thoughts, something that struck me, and I'm a layperson, I haven't had a look. I've sort of got a problem. I'm meant to prep for work tomorrow, but also going to watch the whole game again, so I have to balance those two things. It really seemed the way we were shaping up on defence was almost not quite conceding, but basically saying, look, if you want to go boundary side and mark it 50 out, good luck to you. But we're not going to allow you to shape up to mark in front. And people say, Geelong were inaccurate. And, yeah, they were. But I think that's also a reflection of the quality of the defence, basically saying you're not going to get a high percentage shot on goal. You're essentially going to be forced out to the wings.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What are your thoughts, Tiz? You seem like you have something to say.
Yeah, no, they were guarding the corridor really well. The interceptions from Frost were excellent too. They've got to be really careful, the oppositions, when they come into our forward line, because if it's not a really good forward entry or it's a shallow one, it can come back very quickly and at pace. So, we're quite happy for them to hit the boundary lines, as you say, leave them free and protect that centre area.
Yeah,
and really demand that they be at their best to kick them. You're quite right, Tim.
The thing I want to point out is, I mean, obviously you force it to the boundary, so if they do happen to get a shot on goal, obviously it's going to be far more difficult. But the second function of that is, if you dare play the centre corridor, if you try and switch it in, that's where our counterpunch begins. Like, you don't want to do that against the modern-day Hawthorn outfit. That's playing into Sam Mitchell's hands. So I think that's why they guard it so heavily. If teams ever dare entertain the option and they don't absolutely nail it, Hawthorn's going to seize it. They're going to run it up the other end just like that. So I think that's the function of it, personally.
And they leave it free to run into as soon as we get a touch. They just take it out into that area, and usually one of the guys is already peeled off and is waiting for the ball to come out.
Exactly,
I was just, sorry, and I won't be long, but I was just going to say that it's one of those things where you read the raw scores, X points, X goals, and it's simplistic to say, oh, well, this side kicked better than this side. But it's often more a reflection of the strategic approach in terms of high percentage shots, low percentage shots.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's always a ton of ways to read into this stuff. The stat that I like, was it 3 first-term goals for Dylan Moore?
Yeah, and 4 in the first half. That's incredible.
Again, we say it every single time. I know, carrying on like a broken record, but Dylan Moore, 1 foot out the door. Not too long ago, the transformation has been absolutely sensational. He's surely one of the best small forwards in the league. It can't be any question of that.
Yeah, him and a couple of, Switkowski was pretty good for Freo, and he's been at Hawthorn as well. So it's a weird. We were looking for one for so long, and then there were 2 right under our nose, and both nearly got away. So, yeah.
Once again, I want to take this opportunity for anyone who wants to chime in, burning questions for us, or they just want to comment on what was a sensational win. We'd love to hear from you. Request to speak. We'll get your mic working, and fire away. Disposal efficiency today, Tiz. Our defensive line is obviously one of Hawthorn's greatest assets, and I think that can be reflected time and time again in the disposal efficiency. Changworth Jath, I'm going off the top of my head here. I believe he had 19 touches, and I think 95%. A quiet day, by all accounts. It wasn't his absolute electric best from CJ, but when you're using the footy that well, I don't think it needs to be electric. I think it just needs to be accomplished.
So there were comments I got that CJ was being manned by Smithy, but I didn't notice that myself. Did you notice that?
No, not specifically, no.
But yeah, he was down from much of the match, but you're right, 95% disposal efficiency. And look, he tried to impose himself at the end of the match and kept running, which was fantastic for the side. Like his overlap run providing an option. And there's just a couple of moments there where the Geelong defenders are looking to take an easy mark, and there's a fist thrown in, brings the ball to ground. McDonald keeps running. They're really pushing themselves at the end of the game, and those older Geelong bodies who should be able to break through those pain barriers and push through just refuse to go with them. And I did listen to Scotty's presser.
Of course you did.
There's nothing in it if you're a Geelong fan. There's nothing to take away from it. There's nothing to take away from it if you're a Hawthorn fan. It's very much a non-event. But it's good to hear that in the first 30 seconds you can just hear the disappointment, and then you can move on.
Well, 2 words.
Can I very quickly ask about James Sicily? Because obviously I didn't see any of his play except in post-game highlights, but I was really impressed with his post-game interview on the couch. He spoke a lot about, obviously the long injury layoff. I'm correct that he didn't play a game last year?
Yeah, that's right.
He spoke about how he had an opportunity to use that time to sort of focus a lot more, develop, mature a little bit. Can I sort of just give my personal take on that in terms of I'm a soccer player socially, sort of thing. That's where I've played most.
Oh, you would have loved today then, mate. Go back to the replay. There's a few free kicks that are very soccer-like.
So let me tell you something about being unhinged when you play sport. Is that I've always been able to relate to poor Sis, because I promise you, hand on heart, when you have white line fever, it's legitimately not a joke. There is something that happens to you when you get onto that field where you genuinely do become a different person, to the extent that everyone talks about, he needs to learn to react. He needs to learn to react better. I promise you, it is a near physical impossibility. There is just something that it's sort of something that manifests, whether chemically or physically, or I can't explain it, but it is nearly impossible to react any different way other than the way you naturally do. And so it was really quite heartening to hear him speak about that. And he spoke with such sort of distinction after the game in the way that he addressed it. Because I can tell you from experience, it is so easy just to be that player that is like, look, I'm just going to make the best of it and see what happens, or you just flat out ignore it. And I think it was a very telling sort of interview that he gave about the fact that he wanted to address it, and he did want to talk about the fact that, I'm aware of what was going on before I got injured, and I had this time to sort of think about it, and I don't want to be that player. And so I think that was very heartening for someone like Sis, because everybody can see the talent, and if you can manage to get that switched on focus, which I think Sammy is someone who's well placed to help him with that.
Yeah, because Sam's an intellectual, really, and he's a people person. Sam Mitchell knows that he has to adapt to each player and go player by player basis and what they need from him at any particular point in time. I can't help but think, is it yoga? Is it meditation? Is it Call of Duty? You just don't know with Sicily, but whatever it is, it seems to be working. He was one of our most influential players today on the ground, Sicily, easy.
And he had the opportunity to kick that goal. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, he kind of had to flash back to when he was a forward there briefly, and I don't know why it didn't work out. He's one of the best kicks in the league, so it was a rare miss.
I'm just flicking through Twitter on my laptop, and I'm watching the Tom Hawkins Shooting Stars memes. This is great.
Can we,
gentlemen? I'm gonna let you get back to it and pass the mic on to others. I always do like taking these opportunities to say, love what you do. Please keep doing what you're doing. I'm sort of, I know I speak on behalf of everyone when I say, absolutely one of the best sports broadcasting podcasts going around. And it is, I hope you're able to keep doing what you're doing for a very, very long time.
You are too kind. We love hearing that. And give us a quick plug before you jump off. Your Facebook page. Give us one more.
Yeah, so I think a mate of mine started it up shortly around the time of the sort of three-peat. It's called Hawthorn Football Club Supporters Page, and we sort of just try to do your standard, team news and club news and updates, but it's turned into a really interesting forum where just, I think we've got about tick under 18,000 followers last time I checked. And, oh, man, let me tell you, it is a pure roller coaster of input when it comes to just the different types of Hawks fans that are out there. And as I said to you, I spread myself across all sorts of sports, and, you can't be... You have to have a certain emotional volatility to want to be able to do that. And so, but the reason I say that, it's very refreshing to me to sort of see those different perspectives and to see just how much people love our club.
Yeah.
Like it really is quite a sort of startling and confronting realization when you just do see like how much people metaphorically bleed. That
Matt Edwards had a tweet today. My 2-year-old thinks her parents are psychotic, jumping around, screaming and hugging, all because of a game of footy.
and that's it. So yeah, Hawthorn Football Club supporters page. Look us up. It's easy to follow, and we really do just try to keep the updates coming. And but you'll be very surprised the people that you do meet on the page.
Well, there you go. I mean, absolutely well worth jumping on board, because this stuff becomes better. It becomes better when you share it. And that's what we're all doing here online at the moment on this Twitter space. Carlo, I want to thank you for your time, for chipping in tonight.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's I always love talking about and hearing about footy with you guys. So enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too, mate. You too. Anyone else that would like to jump on board, we'd love to have you chipping in with any questions, any comments at all after what was a sensational day, one that ebbed and flowed, certainly. It wasn't all on Hawthorn's terms. It certainly started well. I reckon we'll have about another 20 minutes, I reckon, of this. What do you reckon, Tiz? What have you got? You got much planned, or are you just going to bask in this?
Got to watch the replay, Nick.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Can I just comment on the replay? I did, before we went live, I decided to watch the final couple of minutes. Were the commentators tired? They have themselves a big weekend. They couldn't give it much more than they did. I would have preferred a bit more passion behind it.
It was very much like the end of that prelim with the goal of the siren. The siren didn't sound. And look, as good as the games have been against Geelong, and it's great to beat them. It was a little bit of a smaller crowd than we'd be used to. Probably on the back of the last result.
Yeah, well, just shy of 50,000 in the end, which surprised me. I thought, at least the view from M10, I would have guessed it was packed. But
the sound was.
It was.
But, look, for them to be challenged like that and respond and go on with it at the end and just back themselves. It's just, this is going to be a year where this squad develops, and we're probably going to have big changes and big differences in output from week to week, but it's going to be very exciting.
Mate, looking ahead to next week, you're kind of winding down this space now, and I guess we need to look ahead to the clash in Sydney, the Anzac Day weekend clash. What changes do you make? That is going to be the question. I mean, obviously, do we know the extent of Reeves' injury? I imagine he's out, a couple of months or something, right?
So, Sammy was reluctant to rule him out next week.
Really?
He said these things sometimes slip back in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was still had a bit of the old white line fever, perhaps. Not thinking too clearly. But Max Lynch is, what did he do? He got concussed, then he got COVID, then he got a bee sting and an anaphylactic attack about 3 days ago. So he's having a good run into next week.
Yeah, I heard he got off the couch too quickly and sort of felt a bit dizzy, so he had to sit back down again. It's just a lot going on for Lynchy.
Well, he's not going to be in any kind of footy.
No, that's right.
So Anzac Day down in Lonnie against the Swans, who have just absolutely demoralised West Coast, which, could augur well for us because it wasn't really a game of footy. It'll be a great occasion. I think it's already sold out, isn't it?
I think you might be right. Wouldn't shock me at all. We've got Andrew on the line. We'd love to hear from you, Andrew, if you fire away.
Yeah, thanks, Hawk. Got to say, first time listener, first time speaker. I've just got back from the game myself, so I've had a few celebratories. But just on the Ned Reeves issue, I'm a massive rap for Ned Reeves, but I actually thought Connor Nash did a fantastic job just neutralising the ruck today, was all I really wanted to say. That I thought him and Kajitsky had to step into that very tall void. Kajitsky clearly better as a forward, but I thought Nash being able to neutralise those centre bounces and then also become a bit of an on-ball rover himself, I genuinely thought he was a fantastic contributor today. I don't know what you guys
Yeah, we've been on a bit of a Connor Nash tear already. I think the thing to say about him,
I'm not allowed to talk about Connor Nash too often because I've spent the last couple of years talking about Connor. But
the thing about Nash this year,
he's just tireless, isn't he? He doesn't give up a contest, and there are a couple of moments, especially I think he brought it down to Bruce's feet a couple of times, and the ruckman at Geelong have always been a problem for them. That's why they've gone out and got Segler. But Reeves looked like he'd tear them apart. And then we thought, oh, no, they're going to dominate us and they'll push them forward. And luckily the rain happened, so they didn't really do that because neither of them can move very well. And Connor Nash, as a small, as soon as the ball hits the deck, it turned out to be an advantage for us.
You mentioned Johnny Segler, yet to put his best foot forward, or any foot forward, in fact, for Geelong. So that's a shame for them. Connor Nash, a lot has been asked of him. He's not built for this role. He hasn't been trained for this role, but he's just been forced to play it, and he's held himself rather well. His endeavours right there. And I think Cozzy, it's funny how things work out, isn't it? Because Cozzy had that very brief internship at Box Hill playing the ruck simply because Box Hill had no other choice. It was at one point shared between Cozzy, Callow and Jecker all going up in the ruck, taking turns. Look, let's be clear, against Carlton at the very least in the VFL, we're absolutely annihilated in the ruck. But, it's funny how things work out. I'm not sure, the application from Cozzy would have been nearly as much there as it was today without that. So it kind of worked out.
The other thing Connor Nash was very good at was spurting from the contest and making sure that he was one more man around the next contest while the ruckman was lagging behind. And I think that would have greatly frustrated Scotty in the box. And I love that, Andrew. And thank you for pointing Connor Nash out. Any chance to talk about Nash, I really admire him.
Yeah, we do have our flagship favourites here on the Hawk Talk podcast. My man Mitch, main event Mitch Lewis, and the Celtic Warrior Connor Nash both get a very good run. They get great coverage on this podcast. Back to the subject of changes you make. What did you think of Cozzy's game? He tried hard. It wasn't the pure forward game that we're used to seeing him play. So I don't know. Do we judge him harshly on this?
Oh, it was an honest game. I don't think they ever really. There were a couple of moments he dropped the chest, but couple of other things where he could have taken the game by the scruff of the neck and had a shot on goal. But he basically said, I'll do whatever the team needs today. And he didn't shirk any moments.
That's true.
His physicality was very good, I thought. For a bloke who hasn't had any time at an AFL level for a while, that's a pretty good hit out coming into the ruck like that.
That's true. Yep. Far away, Andrew.
He got 11 hit outs. Ned Reeves got 10, and Connor Nash got 5.
Well, there you go. Andrew, you got your mic on. You want to fire away with something? Perhaps not. So the mic go off again. That's all right. I'll jump in. Cosy one of 3 inclusions. It was 3 in the end, wasn't it? We had also Phillips and Shields. I'm not sure I rated Phillips' game. He's not a VFL player. He's always going to star at the VFL level, Tom Phillips. But when he gets into the AFL team, he's a perfectly adequate player. I'm not sure we're going to get more than that.
Yeah, it's about the team play for Tom Phillips in the AFL level. He's not really gelling with how the team wants to play. You find when it gets to him, the game slows down, and that's not what we're about. He needs to, and it's similar for Shields as well. But I felt his game was excellent today. I really enjoyed having Shields out there, dependable hands in the wet, and I felt that he righted the ship a couple of times.
Yeah, I was thankful for Shields being back out there. Absolutely. I thought he definitely had a say in this contest. Any other underrated players? I think Scrimshaw won't be talked about too much, which is a damn shame. I thought he was great.
No. Scrimshaw was absolutely brilliant today. A couple of times, second and third efforts, and just his general demeanour as halfback is something that you can really hang your hat on. And I know everyone was talking about their bloke, what's his name, Tom Stewart, but we have some remarkably good backmen, and they have an opponent with them when they go into the contest.
The progression of Denver Granger Barras, I think, this year is becoming a nice little story arc. They've definitely put a lot of faith behind him, and I think he's repaying it. The stat sheet won't immediately show it. I think you got to look into it a bit deeper, but he's.
The stats are irrelevant for DGB. Yeah. There was a 1-on-1 in the goal square where he beat, how can I forget his name? They gave him the number 5. They were so rapt when he got to the club.
Cameron, wasn't it? Was that Cameron?
Cameron. Cameron. Yeah, he had a shocker today, didn't he?
Look.
Absolutely terrible shank kicks. And
I got to...
but that's all between his ears,
I got to say, heading into this game, I did wonder, have we made a mistake by giving Hardigan no touch? I don't know why he's missed as much football as he has. Is it a COVID thing? He's not even been cited at VFL level lately, so... I did wonder how we'd fare with the likes of Hawkins and Cameron roaming around. I thought, this could be a real nice game to have Hardigan in good touch. But, hey, we held him well enough, certainly, well enough.
Yeah, well, Tyson Stengel looked pretty good around the goals. But, geez, the team play was magnificent. I really enjoyed how we moved the ball. You look, Geelong had their plans and our boys had to think their way through it under pressure. And they're good players. There's some very good players in their midfield. And, the pressure of the game as well, of last week, not wanting to turn up with a mouthguard to training on the Wednesday again. I'm just going to bask in this for a while, Nick, I think.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I wonder what changes we make. That's something I'm going to have to ruminate on off the top of my head. I'm not sure who I'm bringing back into this side. We need to cut. Well, I imagine we'll need to cover for Reeves, of course. But other than that glaring one.
Well, is there an option to have Callow come in?
Yeah, I wondered that. I wondered, do you give Callow a debut? Put him in for Cozzy, perhaps. We've got Will Day waiting as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hawthorn play a very similar style to Sydney now. So it should be a very, very watchable game on Monday.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Sydney they're looking very good. They're looking very dangerous. But then I said the same about Geelong. I wasn't convinced that we'd get the job done today, but it all came to pass, didn't it?
Yeah, I think with a young side you can get carried away with a bad result. They're pretty durable. Obviously, they didn't lose too much faith in themselves. So we're sitting in 8th now, 3 and 2. Percentage of 106. It's not bad.
Yeah, I read that from one Dwayne Russell over the weekend that Adelaide are a genuine finals threat. So I don't know what that says about us.
What do we have to get to? Isn't it if we're in the top 8 come round 6, we've got a very good chance of playing.
Yeah, dare to dream. We've got Essendon soon. They look ripe for the taking. So.
Oh, it's terrible to see, isn't it? You were sending me highlights of Darcy Parish not running down his opponent. I was like, mate, you've gone too far.
I was indulging a little bit too much. I was glad not to see too much of that today from Hawthorn. They turned it on its head from last week. The connection was there, the team play was there, the endeavour, the spirit, the work rate are just comprehensively a better game than last week.
And if we are talking about other teams, I just want to have a word to Port Adelaide, tell them they're taking this too far. Keep playing like that. Clarko ain't one gonna come. So
that's right. You really got to thread the needle, don't you? You don't want to make it too unattractive for Clarko to come knocking. I just want to point out for listeners on behalf of Tiz that I think Tiz is the first person to have made the call of Clarko to Port Adelaide well ahead of everyone else. You called that from a long way out, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, but, anyway.
Yeah, look, it's going to be very odd if it comes to that, but I got to say, mate, as we begin to wrap things up on Hawk Talkback for this evening, I'm enjoying the ebbs and flows of the Mitchell era. I'm having fun. I knew I'd be entertained this season, if nothing else, and that is certainly the case, 100%.
Now, what did you think of Jarman Impey this week? Jeez, He deserved the game this week, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. I thought he was far better this week. I just want to say I love how I begin to wrap up. You're like, yeah, what about this other play, though?
Who wants to stop talking about it?
I'm going to have to soon.
I'm hoping. How is it going, Nick?
Well, just in the...
Is the security coming and moving?
No, it's a pretty...
Who's this bloke in the corner wearing a Hawk scarf and a beanie and the... Have you still got those Hawthorn Nikes? The brown and gold
I wish. Did I tell you I've got a signed Buddy boot?
Yeah, no, you've shown me a few times.
Yeah, there you go. Still love him. I'll never get over him. No, I'm still recording the Vic Hotel. I don't know if it came across in the recording, but there was a bit of Dolly Parton 9 to 5 going over the PA before. No, it didn't. All right, I shouldn't have mentioned it then.
How unfortunate, yeah.
No, I'm off to a comedy festival show in about 15 minutes, so that's why I need to wrap things up. It's a big day for me, mate.
Mate, this is a golden moment. You could just leave this on, and we'll join you at the...
I think they might require purchasing a ticket for everyone that's online at the moment. It'd be pricey.
Yeah, stretch the technological boundaries of Twitter.
I mean, if we're going to sling that kind of coin, sling it to us. Patreon.com/HawkTalkPod. That is the worst and cheapest and nastiest plug yet. That is the worst one I've ever done. I feel ashamed.
Yeah,
I suppose I am just looking to wrap up, though. Hey, thank you for everyone that joined us this evening. Thank you for everyone that jumped on and said their piece about what was an exhilarating day of football. It always is Easter Monday, Hawthorn Geelong. I mean, last year was decided by only 5 points. We were right up to our eyeballs in the contest to get away with a win today, with main event Mitch sealing it, if you don't mind.
Now, were you louder for Bruce's goal or Mitch's
goal? It's my man Mitch. Can't help it. He's one of my faves. Love watching him go about things.
But that gorgeous silky pass.
That was not a pass.
From Tom.
That was not a pass. Let's just make that perfectly clear. That had the makings of a slapdash, haphazard, ugly Tom Phillips goal, but it wasn't to be. But it did find a target, so I think we can be thankful of that.
No, it was fantastic. That was my favourite moment, I reckon, because every Geelong person was absolutely apoplectic with that work.
Oh, mate, we better start wrapping things up. As I said, thanks to everyone for joining us for Hawk Talkback. We're going to try and do a few of these throughout the season. This is something different for us. We're recording this tonight as well. And hopefully, barring all technical difficulties, we might be able to put this online to stream again for people at a later date. We'll see. Watch this space. Literally, watch this space. You can also find us on Facebook, of course, facebook.com/HawkTalkPod. Find us on Instagram, and we're on Patreon, as I said, patreon.com/HawkTalkPod. If you sign up there, you can become a subscriber. There's perks such as bonus content, and every little bit basically helps us do what we do and do stuff like this. We can devote more time to it the more you support us. So if you really love the show and love what we do, that's where you want to jump on board.
And we'll be back to regular broadcasting later in the week.
Are we?
Or Monday. Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Now it's turned into a meeting on air. Oh, mate, look, put it this way. I'd be happy to relive this game. So...
Well, it's a big match this week, 3-3 or 4-2.
Yeah,
it's a big difference.
It's going to be a big one, mate. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to do this, and I'm glad that I was able to find the Victoria Hotel lobby in which to conduct my Hawk Talk pod business. It's been good.
I was wondering where you're going to go, honestly.
Thank you once again, everyone, for being on board. Thank you, Tiz. Thank you for everyone that joined us. That'll be it for this evening for Hawk Talk Back. Stay tuned, because we may or may not have an additional podcast later in the week.
I wondered whether you'd go into a lift and just press the emergency button and hope for the best.
Oh, mate, stuck in the same place going nowhere fast. That's Geelong.
Oh, man, getting older.
Yeah, time marches on, doesn't it? Unfortunately for them.
that no regrets article in the Sun today. Yeah. Okay. Enjoy the win.
Mission accomplished. We are a happy team at Hawthorn. Thanks once again. We'll see you later.